Greetings, in this video we are going to look at an unfortunate event which is widespread in Malaysia, the adoption of a Kula Devata as an upcoming trend. Now to put it briefly, a Kula Devata as we commonly know is a deity who is specific to your bloodline. I've made a separate video on the importance of a Kula Devata and the consequences of forgetting one's Kula Devata, which you can find it linked in the descriptions below this video. Here, we are going to specifically look at this unfortunate event and how we can overcome this. So, there are many ways to trace one's Kula Devata, and the easiest and the best way would be perhaps to root back to one's ancestral village. Having that said, in Malaysia, when the diaspora crossed seas to Malaya many generations back, the bond with the Kula Devata got loosened to up to an extent. Now, as the generation passed on, the connection got totally cut. That is why many or perhaps most Malaysian Indians today do not actually know their Kula Devata. Now, not knowing your Kula Devata isn't the issue because you can always trace them back. The real issue which is happening in Malaysia is that assuming or believing to know your Kula Devata when you actually do not. That is the danger. Now, if you made a random survey some decades back, you will notice how many families tend to give bizarre answers regarding their Kula Devata. For example, they would just blurt out their favorite deity, say Lord Ganesha or Krishna. They do not know what a Kula Devata actually refers to. So they probably just think that it is some deity which is nearest or whom they feel comfortable with, which we regard as the Ishta Devata and not Kula Devata. Lately, some awareness on Kula Devata has been circulating on the net. An important and authentic clarification on how a Kula Devata and Ishta Devata differ has penetrated the awareness of many. This ought to be a good sign, but has unfortunately rendered some drawbacks. What happened was, many families started to conveniently adopt Kula Devatas. For instance, if their grandparents had been worshipping Lord Munyandi, now Munyandi becomes their new Kula Devata in a house. Now try another simple survey today. Just display the same query today. You will notice how 8 out of 10 families in a rough guess would vaguely answer Munishwaran or Veeran as their Kula Devata. And interestingly, these families would not be consanguineous. Means they do not have a common bloodline. So that defeats the purpose of having a Kula Devata. You have to understand, your Kula Devata can never have a vague identity like just Munishwaran or Veeran. They should at least have a prefix or suffix to it. They should be specific to a temple in India. Those who are still keeping in touch with their ancestral village would know this. Your Kula Devata would have a unique identity, a unique history, and a unique name. If 1,000 families are going to claim Munishwaran as their Kula Devata, it really doesn't do justice to their ancestral ways. For example, you should at least identify a specific form of Mariamman, Samayapura Mariamman, instead of just a hanging Mariamman. Your family may have been worshipping any of these deities like Munishwaran or Mariamman, which was common back then in the estates because the temples for these deities were hugely established back in the days. But that doesn't make them your Kula Devata despite the intimate bond. You cannot choose or adopt your Kula Devata just as how you cannot choose or adopt your genetic traits. Remember, your Kula Devata is a deity who is in oneness with your genetic line. Even if you have no regards, or even if your Kula Devata is not a deity you can connect to, that Kula Devata will still function as a Kula Devata. Your Ishta Devata, no matter how close you feel the link with your Ishta Devata can never be your Kula Devata. But of course, there are instances where your own Kula Devata can be your Ishta Devata, but not otherwise. Now, even if you do not know the identity of your Kula Devata, remember that by your own spiritual sadhana, you naturally invoke the energy as it is within you. Your Kula Devata is sitting right there in your DNA figuratively. All you need to do is to look inwards. Now, that's not the point. If you're Malaysian, if you had been told that one of these common four deities is your Kula Devata, please have a double confirmation. In many instances, parents just generally adopt a Kula Devata based on what their grandparents had been worshipping. That is not how it works. Go back to your ancestral village in India, trace back your ancestors, and you'll find your Kula Devata. Often, the answer is rather shocking to many Malaysians. Not knowing your Kula Devata is never an issue. Assuming to know your Kula Devata when you don't is something really wrong. Thank you for watching.